Okay, today we're talking about solving equations with variables on both sides. In this one, we have 8 plus 4d equals 5d. Well, what are our like terms? The 4d and the 5d. So we've got to get them on the same side. Let's draw our lines. And if we wanted to simplify and keep the 8 by itself, we would take the 4d away from both sides, and we'd be left with 8 equaling d, which we know is true. So let's check our work. We have 8 plus 4 times 8 equaling 5 times 8. So 4 times 8 is 32, plus 8 gives us 40, and 5 times 8 is also 40, so we know it works. So what if we have more than that though? Then we need to combine both our like terms and get them both on the same side. So in this case, I want the 4n with the 6n. So I'm going to take 4n away from both sides. And in this case, I'm left with 2n minus 1 equaling negative 5. So now I want the 1 with the negative 5, and it doesn't matter which one you do first or which side you move it to, it'll give you the same answer either time. So we get negative 4 equals 2n, and if we divide by 2, n equals a negative 2. Let's plug it back in. So if I plug it in, I get negative 12 minus 1 equaling a negative 8 minus 5, and this equals negative 13, and so does the negative 8 minus 5, so it works. Go ahead and try these, and I'll be back in just a second to show you what I did. Don't forget to draw your lines and grab your red pen. Okay, so here's what I did. I knew I wanted to separate the 21 from the a's, so I took 5a away from both sides, and I was left with 3a equaling 21. I then divided by 3, and a equals 7. If you don't feel like writing it all out, in your calculator you can take 8 times 7 and get 56, take 5 times 7 and get 35, add 21 to that, and you get 56 as well. Don't discourage yourself from checking just because you don't feel like writing it all out like this, okay? Over on this one, I like to make sure that I'm working with positive variables, so I always take away the smaller one if I'm going to be taking something away. If you moved the 8, I promise you'll get the same answer as me if you did it right. So I got 5x plus 23 equaling the negative 7. So now I had to take the 23 away. Okay, so either way, one of them, either your variable or your number in this case, is going to be negative because your final answer is going to be negative. So I'm going to divide by 5, and x equals negative 6. It doesn't matter how you write it. So again, you're going to take 3 times negative 6 and get negative 18 minus 7 and get negative 25. Okay, over here you're going to take 8 times negative 6 and you're going to get 48, and then you're going to take, it's a negative 48, and then you're going to add 23 and you're going to get negative 25. So they work. Okay, what if you have ones that have fractions in them, rational coefficients, or even decimals, okay? Well, you can still combine your like terms. Some of them, you're just going to have to change them so they have the same denominator. So 1/6, this 2/3 would have to become 4/6. Okay, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides, and I'm left with 4/6x equaling 10 minus 1/6x. So I'm going to add 1/6x to both sides, and I'm left with 5/6. I'm adding that. So I'm left with 5/6x equaling 10. Okay, so now I have to flip it and multiply. Remember doing this? You've got to take and divide, multiply by 5/6. So these cancel out, and I'm just left with x. This one, we're going to have to do a little simplifying. So 2 goes into 10 5 times. It goes into 6 3 times. So I'm left with 25 over 3. So I've got to simplify that. How many times does 3 go into 25 evenly? 8 times with 1/3 left over. Go ahead and try these two for me right now, and I'll be back in just a second to show you what I did. Okay, grab your red pen. The first step is to make sure the denominators are the same. So in this case, we're going to have 2/4 p. I'm going to take 7 away from both sides, and I'm left with 2/4 p equaling 3/4 p plus 2. So now let's take away the 3/4 p. We're going to be left then with a negative 1/4 p on this side and 2 on this side. So we're going to have to multiply by a negative 4 over 1 or just a negative 4. So p equals a negative 8. Over here, we're going to have to make sure that our integers have the same denominator. So this is 2/4, and these have the same denominator. So this is 10/8, and it's a negative. I'm going to rewrite that just so I don't confuse myself, and then I'm going to create my lines so that way I keep them all straight. Okay, so I'm going to add 2/4. Whoa. Sorry about that. And so I'm going to add 2/4, and I get negative 10/8 c minus 1/4 plus 5/8 c. So now I'm going to take away the 5/8, and so I'm going to be left with a negative 15/8 c equaling a negative 1/4. So I'm going to multiply by 8 over 15, but it's going to be a negative. And I can simplify these, so I'm just left with c. And 8 can simplify to 2, and the 4 to the 1, and a negative times a negative. So I'm just left with positive 2/15. Okay, so what about this one? Green's Gym charges a one-time fee of $50 plus $30 per session with a personal trainer. A new fitness center charges a yearly fee of $250 and $10 for the personal trainer session. So they want to know when these are going to cost the same. So let's set them equal to one another and solve. Take the 10s away from both sides, and we are left with 20s equaling 250, but there's that other 50 that we have to deal with. So take that away from both sides, and we're left with 20s equaling 200. Divide by 20, and we're left with s equaling 10. So the cost is going to be the same for 10 personal trainer sessions. A wireless company offers 2 cell phone plans. Plan A charges $25.95 per month plus 10 cents a minute for calls. Plan B charges $19.95 per month plus 20 cents per minute. So I want you to try to solve this chart and answer the questions for what values does Plan A cost less, when does Plan B cost less, and when do they cost the same. Remember, just like what we just did, they cost the same when you set them equal. Okay, I'll be back in just a second to show you what I did. Okay, so the first step is to write the equation for both and set them equal. I'm going to take $19.95 away from both of these. When I do that, I get 5 plus 10 hundredths minutes equaling 2 hundredths minutes. Take the 100th of a minute away, or take the 10th of a minute. I don't know why I'm saying hundredths, sorry about that. Take that both away, and you're left with 5 equaling 1/10 per minute. Divide by 1/10 on both sides, and we're left with m equaling 50. So at 50, they both work. If you filled in the chart, you would see that at 50 minutes, they both equal $29.95. So Plan A costs less when the values are greater than 50. Plan B costs less when the values are less than 50, which you can see all of these are cheaper until we reach that point. And then at 50, they cost the same. And then Plan A starts becoming cheaper. Okay, so you try these and I'll be back in just a second to show you the answers, okay? Go ahead and pause the video and try it. All right, so here's my work. Get ready for it. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and check your work with mine, and I will see you next time.